So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728, and rethinking Joe Rogan's clip with respect to the plus-sized model on the cover of a magazine. So I'll get into that in a moment. Of course, I am Earthling, yada yada yada. I am an ex-Army reservist. I've traveled a bit. I have lost a bit of weight, got a couple of degrees, and I decided to start up a YouTube channel. Anyway, there is a Joe Rogan clip where Joe Rogan is talking about a plus size or a very obese, I think, model on the cover of one of these magazines. And he was talking about the fact that, hey, they are celebrating to an extent and in some ways encouraging this model that it's okay to be as obese as she was. And he was commenting to say that it's not really okay because she is not living a very healthy life. There's going to be a lot of different problems that are associated with being obese, and that somebody maybe should help her to lose the weight rather than just being okay with the size and the body that she's in. And, I really kind of leaned in that direction. I think the first time that I listened to Joe Rogan saying that, and some of these, in my mind, I can't lie and say that I'm probably not going to lean that way again, because that's how we do. That's how human beings do. We go back and forth, we flip-flop. But I was thinking about some of the things that Joe Rogan has been through in terms of his life experience. And, he has had these major surgeries that I've never had with respect to his tendons and so on. And he's said in the past that, I guess that he chose not to go into martial arts because he was realizing how it might impact on him and his family and his life and his mental capacity to do that, to go into mixed martial arts. But at the same time, he has on mixed martial artists on his show all the time. So he of course he is an MC ringside at all of these different events. I mean, he is a very pro-health person, but when I think of it again, and I think of the danger that these martial artists put themselves in, and the impacts that this business would have on their health as a result of taking different blows to different parts of the body, even if they are trying to be healthy in order to be able to fight well. They have put themselves in a, what is the life expectancy of a mixed martial artist? I know that life for wrestlers is not a great life in terms of how they're paid, how they get treated like after they finish wrestling, in terms of what, I can't remember the name of the guy, the preparations or end of career preparations that they have. Like, it's not really that good. And yet Joe Rogan, I'm sure, would have a lot of respect for these guys, as all of us, I guess, should. It's a really hard life, but it's not ideal if you want to have a long and healthy life. These venues of ways of making money, these ways of living, when we really take a hard look at them, are they any different from being an obese person who just decides that, okay, I'm not going to fight the habits that I have taken up in life. I'm just going to be this way. And when I look at it, it isn't. to me, I mean, she is probably a lot safer. She might have a higher life expectancy than some of these mixed martial artists. She might have uh, better satisfaction, life satisfaction. Of course, yeah, there are people who are, may make fun of you, and there's all of these. Of course, you might have diabetes, you might have risk of a lot of different things. But when I've personally taken a good look at the life expectancy of someone who might be obese or overweight, it it's not like 10 years difference. It's not like even 5 years, I think, in terms of the life expectancy for someone who's overweight or obese. It's maybe 3 or 4 years difference. So if it is that people who choose to not to try to change their obesity, their life expectancy is not a major difference from someone who tries to be, well, if not tries to be healthy, is of a moderate weight or not overweight or obese on average, then, you know, really, what's it for? What, why should we tell people at all to change? So that the numbers change? So that we see the number on a news story and we think, oh, well, life is better. Is it? I don't know. And then worse than that, if, Joe Rogan reveres these people who are technically healthy but put themselves in harm's way. I mean, okay, maybe they don't die. Maybe they're wealthy enough to carry on. I think their quality of life from taking blows to the head probably is not going to be the same as someone who didn't. And it seems to be a little bit hypocritical to be in favor of the one and kind of raining on the parade of the other one. It doesn't seem that we're really taking a good solid look at the two things, or just many things. I mean, there are people who skydive, for example. There are people who ride motorcycles. There are people who engage in many different types of risky behavior. But when it comes to, for example, having unprotected sex, or let me think of another example. Maybe people who just don't get enough sleep. They figure they can get by on 4 hours worth of sleep. What is their life expectancy? So I understand that someone who is obese to many people might not seem as being particularly attractive. But of course, to other people, there are other people out there who like people who are of a particular body type and body weight. So there's that. But given all the different choices that people make, I think we can really, and probably should really, if we aren't already, accept that it's probably a lot worse for you to ride a motorcycle or have unprotected sex or be an MMA fighter than to be overweight or obese in terms of life expectancy, maybe, at least, at the very least. Maybe in terms of a lot of other different markers as well. And it is not simply cut and dried and say, okay, well, I'm healthy, I eat healthy, I sleep I sleep enough, and then I go into an MMA ring and I try to knock the head off of the other person and they do the same with me. But it's okay because I'm healthy. I don't know that we can say that and really make sense. I mean, we're just gonna be a little bit ridiculous if we're saying something like that. And I mean, even from the perspective of, well, I mean, for Joe Rogan himself, I don't think that he travels too much to do shows. You know, he it's just well, he's just into comedy, of course, not acting or anything else. But I guess he was just going to the comedy store. But there's so many other people who, you know, it's so sad to hear people say, I've spent so much time with my family because of this. And it's like, okay, let's say you're all really healthy, and let's say you do everything right, but you don't spend much time with your family because you're touring all over the place. Is that really the life? I mean, and you could be obese on top of that, but I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you might be living your life less healthily and pleasantly than you potentially could. So, I don't know. Anyway, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, dislike, any of that stuff. The same way you would if you wanted feedback from people looking at your content online. Have a good one. Peace.